Okay, Israel. Shalom, everyone. Hope everybody's doing well this Monday evening. Shout out Kawakab and his congregation in California and throughout to the East Coast in Atlanta. Hope y'all are doing well today. Shout out Kazakia in Virginia, SOW Houston, Quatazop, and SOW Rochester, Zion. I hope your brothers are doing well. We're just getting back out of here, getting our classes rocking and rolling. The topic of today's class is called Understanding How the Most High Develops Us. Understanding how the Most High develops us. And the Most High uses a lot of similes, uses a lot of worldly crafts and analogies to help us get a closer glimpse into how the Most High deals with us. And I think it's very important to learn how the Most High deals with us. I think if we accept how the Most High thinks and how he deals with us, there'd be less offense on our end. There'd be less anger. There'd be less resentment. There'd be less, why me? My life sucks. Why am I going through the things I'm going through? This isn't the life for me. If we really take the time to understand how the Most High puts things together and processes things, I think it'll be less apt for us to wig out, stress out, and have the anxiety fluctuations and the unhappiness and the sadness and the different mental anxieties that we go through while we serve the Most High. One of the key ways to do that is to understand how the Most High processes and puts things together and how he puts together his children, how he develops his children. One of the ways we can go and express that, we're going to go on to St. John chapter 15. Now, this topic is going to take a few weeks to complete. And I think today we're only going to get past the first verse. Because there's a lot there. Really, there's a lot of meat in the first two verses. There's a lot there. And there's a lot of explaining and painting has to be painted to really understand what we're dealing with. I am going to need you guys to be on your phones to look at, for brothers and sisters in class, so you can see the imagery. Because the imagery helps put things together and it makes more sense. So make sure your phones are on volumes or low, so when you're watching it, you can kind of see the imagery and things can make more sense for you. So, let's start it off. St. John chapter 15 and verse 1.
St. John chapter 15, verse 1. I am the true vine, and my Father is the husbandman.
The true vine is talking about Christ. And when the Most High deals with vines and vineyards, he's dealing with grape vineyards. You read it all throughout the time, all throughout the scriptures, Most High deals with vineyards. And he uses a lot of analogies and explanations in explaining vineyards, vineyard dressing, vineyard development. Okay, they just on a horticultural perspective, dealing with vineyards is one of the most meticulous and detail-orientated jobs you can do on a farm. You know, if you have pigs, what are you going to do? You're going to give them some slop and get the hell out of there. If you have cattle, make sure there's cattle enough to graze on on the ground, get vitamins, making sure. When I tell everybody to go watch it, then it blacks out. Of course, Tom. Thank you. Wow, here the video game. He video gamed it. You see that? Yeah. There it goes. Okay.
The blow always works, man.
Well, it was Nintendo. The original Nintendo.
That's
the blower.
That's for the Xbox.
That's a video game. No, it was 16. It was Nintendo 16. You had to sit back and put it in there.
Yep.
And then after that stopped working, you had to blow it and then put a second one inside of it to keep it locked down. Come on, man. Y'all remember that?
I do. I do remember that. Yeah.
Anyway.
It's classic.
Really, man.
I never hit the only damn game I had. Because I knew if I hit it, I wouldn't get shit back. I'm watching television. And that's it. I'm just watching. I'm not getting no new games. There's no new game. I'm watching Tom and Jerry with the old ancient mama said, boy, you better get up in this house, Tom. You better get him in the house, Tom. You gonna get spanked with this belt. Yeah, all you guys ain't your mama doing this. And I can't keep watching. I need a video game. Anyway, so let's get back to the point. Read it again. St. John 15:1.
St. John 15:1. I am the true vine, and my Father is the husbandman.
Christ is the true vine. We're dealing in a perspective of a vineyard. Let me just show you what a vine looks like. So look online real quick just to see it. Now this is a vine in a vineyard during the dead season. The vine is really talking about the trunk, which is the base, and the cordons, which is the extension of the vineyard from the base. So it's the bottom, and it's the thick branch that goes out. That is the vine. When I sit back and hear this verse, I was like, what does this tree and vine mean? Is this these branches with this big tree? No, this is it. The vine and the root. The only way any of the grapes are grown is from this. The branches are interchangeable, just so we understand this. All these little dead leaves and these branches on top of it, though, that's us. Okay? That's interchangeable. The only thing that's constant for eternity is the trunk and the cordons. That's it. Okay, nothing else matters in actuality. That's why Christ said he is the true vine. He is the source that we all have to follow and stay and fight to stay connected to if we want to get salvation. He is the source. The vine, that is the vine. There's the only way that delicious grapes are going to be grown is really how close you are connected to this tree, to this vine. Yes, my Willa.
I was just going to ask what kind of... Never mind, you answered.
Okay. And now, and this is another picture of it. This is when all the grapes are in full bloom. Okay? They're in full bloom. There's still these little small little vines. That's the root of it all. Now you have branches that extend up. And through those branches that extend up is what brings about the delicious grape for everybody to consume and enjoy. Okay? So, Mosiah is using a vineyard to explain how the Most High deals with Israel. Okay? So, read John 15:1 again.
St. John chapter 15, verse 1. I am the true vine, and my Father is the husbandman.
Now, when you sit back here, it says the Most High is the husbandman. To be specific, when you go into the blue of the Bible and look under husbandman, the tiller of soil or a vine dresser. Okay? So the Most High is the vine dresser. The Most High, Christ is the vine. He is the source. Christ is the source of strength. Christ is the example. Christ is what we should all be gravitating to. But the Most High is the individual that oversees the development of the vine and the branches. Okay? So when you see a dresser, and look up the definition of dresser, you'll see one who adjusts anything for optimal production. That's what a dresser is. So the Most High, as the vine dresser, his sole job is to tweak, adjust, manipulate, move around, so that at the end of the day, you can be and produce the most for him. You can sit back here and be the most productive, the most brotherly, the most loving, the most efficient, the most considerate. Because this is what a vine dresser does. A vine dresser scours the entire vineyard. And I'm going to show you an image of a vineyard. Look at the vineyard. Look at it online.
That makes sense. I always wondered why it was always so straight.
Everything is straight. Everything is sequenced. And the Most High is the head vine dresser of the entire vineyard. And every day, that vine dresser has to go through each of these vines to make sure everything is operating properly. So at the harvest time, when it's time to harvest, he can get the best fruit out of each vine, out of each branch. So this is an important thing that we're taking our time to explain it. We're going to go back to that picture because this is how the Most High looks at each and every one of you. And I pull Leviticus 25 and 55 all the time. And that scripture says we were created to be what? The Most High servants. But what does that mean? We were created so the Most High can extract the most virtue out of us. And that is an important reality to accept. He looks at us as branches and potential fruit. What can I get? How can I get the most out of each of these brothers and sisters that say they want to serve me? Because isn't that what we say we want to do? We want to get to know the Most High. We want to get washed by the blood of the Lamb. We don't say that, but that's what we're implying. We want development. We want blessings. We want the Most High's nurturing. Well, okay, then the answer's fine. If that's what we want, understand what He wants. What is a farmer's number one reason for getting up in the morning at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning to tend to his crops? He expects a harvest. He expects a return. What do you think the Most High's motivation in developing us and putting the time into the children of Israel? He wants a what?
What's a harvest?
He wants a return. But do we look at that and do we understand that's the Most High's intention in creating us? We need to start looking at things that way. He looks at us. A lot of us, we think we come in here and we're just chosen to get this knowledge and cut Edomites and live our life. We're chosen to produce. We're chosen to bring something to the table the Most High will be proud of. Okay. So, I want to explain the responsibility of the vine dresser, which is the Most High. The duties of a vine dresser or husbandman primarily revolve around the meticulous cultivation and care of grapevines, which is Israel, the vineyard, to ensure a fruitful harvest. Now, I'm not pulling this from a Bible verse. I'm trying to explain. We're going over the job of a vine dresser. And if you can understand the job of a vine dresser and how the Most High is the Most High is the vine dresser, then you can understand what his expectations for his fruit is. Okay? And it says there's a meticulous cultivation. So there is a lot of detail and a lot of hands-on work that the Most High has when he's dealing with us. He is extremely hands-on. And we start going into I wish I could send y'all put full clips online. I just don't want to do that yet. And I don't want to get caught for no copyright stuff. But when you sit back and see the work that a person has to go through on a daily basis to protect the vineyard, it's insane. So the meticulous cultivation and care of the grapevines to ensure a fruitful harvest. This includes planting. Then it goes into structuring and developing. So once you get the vine to start to grow, I'm going to show this if I can. We're going to go back to this. But look online real quick. When you look at the beginning trunk at the 24-inch mark, as it starts to grow, there's metal tie downs that you have to tie on each branch to ensure that the branch grows straight up. And if you don't put these metal tie downs, it's a string, it's a metal string, and there's little metal clips that you attach to the wire that doesn't allow the vine to move. This is part. Listen, think about it. You said it was support, right? But I'm gonna say this: one person can say one person's idea of support is another person's idea of I have no freedom.
Yeah.
Is jail. One person's idea of protection and stability
Locked up.
is another person's idea is I'm locked up and I can't won't let me out. And that's the truth. How do you look at it? But when you're looking at this picture, the vine is restrained. Now the vine's Christ, so Christ is not going to fight it. So then you got the second level, which is another second wire that attaches. So as this vine extends out, and the extensions are called the cordons, they too are tied down and restrained along the wire. So for the rest of their life, they are stuck to this wire, and they're only allowed to grow out so wide. There's limited restraint. There's limited movement, with the purpose of it growing properly and structured, so that the branches can grow healthy and be optimal also.
So this is a well thought out structure, pretty much.
Think about this. This is a thought out structure for an entire vineyard. Look at all the wires on the vineyard. You can't see them, but you see tie downs all across the board, controlling every aspect of its development. This is vine dressing 101. So if this is vine dressing 101, what is this also? This is how the Most High deals with Israel 101. These are the basic templates of how the Most High develops an upright spirit. Because the purpose of the restraints are to make sure that the branches and everything grows straight up and doesn't deviate in its formation. How many times have you seen people like plant trees from the first time? What's the first thing they do when they plant trees? They establish tie down anchors to make sure the tree doesn't bow to the left or bow to the right. So what is it? That means a man-made element has to be a part of development. There has to be a man saying, okay, this tree is being created, but nature alone ain't going to develop it. There's got to be somebody here managing the development of this tree in order for it to grow upright, stable, and healthy. This is how the Most High looks at each and every one of us. He is going to continue to put constraints on us while He is developing us. And that's the greatest form of love and attention the Most High can do. He is the vine dresser. So I'm going to read this again. The duties of a vine dresser or husbandman primarily revolve around the meticulous cultivation and care of grapevines to ensure a fruitful harvest. This includes planting, structuring, developing, pruning. We're going to go into pruning next class, because that's a whole other thing. Watering, and then protecting the vines from pests, mildews, and diseases. You know what's crazy? They said that during the winter season, when fall comes out, you have to sit back here and protect the vineyard from fog. Because fog brings mildew. And mildew can infect the trees. They say before you even step foot into a vineyard, you're supposed to, like, all your pruning equipment has to be sanitized. All your feet, your boots, your shoes, you have to soak your shoes in a chlorine form. Some kind of chlorine chemical. So when you walk out there, you don't infect the ground surrounding the vineyards. So there is a purification process that even the vine dresser has to have in dealing with the vineyard. Why? Because these vines are so delicate. They're sensitive to too much sun, not enough sun, weather fluctuations, diseases in the branches, sicknesses in the branches. There's so many things that can go wrong with each harvest. The vine dresser has to be there on a daily basis, looking at the development and monitoring the development of all of the vineyard to make sure that the harvest produces what they're supposed to produce. It's not just the pruning process that you read about later on in verse 2. So why am I saying this? I'm explaining this because this shows how much attention the Most High really puts into developing Israel. Now, let's go to Ezekiel chapter 16 and verse 7.
Come.
Now, when you read Ezekiel 16, Ezekiel deals with Israel when the Most High picked Israel up from nothing. When Israel was, we were wicked, we were coming from the world. He said your mother was an Amorite and your father was a Hittite, and you were in your own blood, your own filth. You were disgusting to the Most High, and He cleaned us up with the intention of us budding. So read Ezekiel 16 and 7.
Come. Ezekiel chapter 16 verse 7 reads, I have caused thee to multiply as the blood of the field.
Matter of fact, read verse 6.
Verse 6.
Matter of fact, read verse 5.
Verse 5.
Read verse 1. Forget it.
Okay.
I was going to jump to verse 7, but we might as well just explain the whole thing.
Come. Ezekiel chapter 16 and verse 1 reads, Again, the word of the Most High came unto me, saying, Son of man, cause Jerusalem to know her abominations, and say, Thus saith the Lord power unto Jerusalem, Thy birth and thy nativity is of the land of Canaan.
What is he saying? We came into, before we got to know the Most High, we had some of the most base, filthy examples and habits in the world. We were polluted with nasty, filthy, wicked habits. Okay, our nativity was in the land of Canaan. Read on.
Thy birth and thy nativity is of the land of Canaan. Thy father was an Amorite, and thy mother an Hittite.
Okay, our nativity was in that arena where there was nothing but wickedness going on. Read on.
And as for thy nativity, in the day thou was born, thy navel was not cut.
So he's saying even when we were born, we weren't attended to. We didn't have any real guidance and protection in the onset of our birth as a nation. Read on.
God, neither was thou washed in water to supple thee. Thou was not salted at all.
He said we weren't cleaned, we weren't nurtured, we weren't protected, we weren't developed. To be swaddled, we weren't nurtured, we weren't loved for, we weren't cared for. Nobody gave a damn about us until the Most High interceded. Read on.
Come, nor swaddled at all. None pitied thee.
None I pitied thee.
None I pitied thee to do any of these unto thee, to have compassion upon thee, but thou wast cast out in the open field. To the loathing of thy person.
He says you were cast out to the open field, to the loathing of thy person. You know what's crazy? When we are left to our own devices, we are left to our own inventions. What is he saying? What is he implying about human nature, our nature, when we're just left without any guidance, any structure, and any development? We are left, he says, what? To the loathing of thy person. Where do you think these significant insecurities come from when Israel comes to the truth? This self-hatred. this lack of confidence, this lack of finishing anything. Listen, for Israelites, we're not the best of the best of the best because most of the time we're fatherless children. Either we didn't have a dad in our life or we didn't have parents who we listened to. However it is, when you don't have structure, when you don't have people developing you spiritually, then there's a lot of failures that we go through in our life. The more failures that we encounter, the more we start to hate each other, hate ourselves. That's when the self-loathing comes in. And then, this is another reason why being a fatherless child is such a hard task to develop with an Israelite. Because you already hate yourself. So when you hate yourself, and then now you have a person coming in trying to teach you, a lot of times the correction are reminders of why what? You hate yourself. And people can't get past the loathing and the previous failures leading up to a time where the Most High is trying to develop you. Is that not our people?
That's our people.
All the way. Neglected, left to our own devices. Then there's tons of failures and regrets and mistakes. Then it's time to clean people up from those regrets and mistakes. And then people can't take the correction because the correction reminds them how far off they are. I was talking to a brother today saying a lot of times in class, the intention behind class is to inspire Israel to be better. And most times, a lot of Israel listens to class and they say, man, I ain't making it. I'm like, that was not the intention. The intention was not to get people to say, I can do it. Not, man, this is too much, man. I guess I'm being in the fiery flames of hell. I don't think I'm going to make this. That was not the intention. But if that's your thinking, there's some loathing there. And there's some hatred inside. And there's too many mistakes that you've racked up that you can't let go to give yourself a fair shot. But anyway, just explaining how sick we are. Okay? Continue.
Verse 5 from the top. None I pitied thee to do any of these unto thee, to have compassion upon thee, but thou wast cast out in the open field, to the loathing of thy person in the day that thou was born.
This is why so many of our people are talking about being independent. All I need is me. I'm comfortable with me. Those bad habits are developed with isolation and failure. They go hand in hand. But let's continue.
Verse 6. And when I passed by thee and saw thee polluted in thy own blood.
And the Most High saw your freedoms, your liberty, and what you got from your freedom and liberty. What did we get from our freedom and liberty? And our freedom to choose the path we want to go.
More sickness.
More sickness, more sadness,
Regret.
more self-loathing, more regret. That is the result of us choosing what we want to choose and living a life we want to live. So the Most High saw us sick, full of failure, full of mistakes, full of regrets. And read on.
Come, I said unto thee, when thou wast in thy blood, live. Yeah, I said unto thee, when thou wast in thy blood, live.
So the Most High said, when he saw us at our lowest point, he said live. Read on.
Come, verse
Now
7.
him saying live, there are works behind that word live. There is an operation. There is a process that comes along with him just saying live. Read on.
Come, verse 7. I have caused thee to multiply as the bud of the field.
He says, the Most High has caused us to multiply as the bud in the field. Just so we can visualize what a bud in the field is, because the bud in the field is another vineyard analogy. Okay? So, let us see. Okay, that works. This is what This is an image of a vineyard in the wintertime after harvest season. You see the cordons, which are the extensions going east and west, which is part of the true vine, which is the base of the
What's
tree.
the power branch, pretty much? That's what I said. It's the power branch.
Divine act. Christ is the vine. I'm not going to say Christ is the power branch. Christ is the vine. The cordon is just the extensions of the vine. Let's try to keep it. The power branch act. Whatever a brother got to do. Whatever a person has to do to remind it. Yes, it's the power branch act. Or it's called the vine. Whichever you want to call it. But yes, it's the vine, the power branch, the cordon. It is the base and it's the strength of the entire vine. These are the branches, right? These are the branches that have already brought out the fruit they were going to give, already maxed out the grapes for the season. Now the branches have withered, they have dried up, it's in the cold season. Now the job now these things also, the things on top of the cordons are called spurs. You see these little branches, little small branches on top of the extensions? Those are called spurs. And this is called spur pruning. Okay? So when you're spur pruning, you still have those little lines behind it because they're keeping everything connected. They're keeping even the branches tied together. Because later on I was going to explain, in order for it to be as straight as it is, there had to be tie downs that were tying even the branches like the vines were being tied down in their growth. So we're sticking to the bud part, right? Mosai said that we multiplied as a bud of the field. How does it happen? We have this cordon, we have these branches, we have that spur. What the vine dresser has to do every season, he has to come down and trim these branches that are connected to the spurs. All of these branches have to get cut. Today we're only going to focus on the bud part. We'll go into this in more detail as we go through these classes so it's understandable. Now we're going and focusing on just two branches of this spur. You see those little circular things that are connected to those branches? Do y'all see them?
Takes a half second for the one. Takes a half second for the
Okay.
We do now.
Okay. So when you see two branches, and you see the spur that it's running from. You see these little circular things that are on the root of the branch.
Like tree pimples.
Those are called buds.
Okay.
Those are the buds. So what the vine dresser has to do is prune the one he's going to use, the most valuable branch he's going to use. He has to cut it until you get to the last two buds. When you see the last two buds, you cut right above that second bud. Okay? Once you cut above the second bud, that's the tree you're going to use to branch out for the next season. Okay? Now, the second branch gets cut off. The entire root gets cut off. Now, we're going to know that branch is the wicked branch, and we're going to go into that later on.
Okay.
But the one that gets maintained is the tree branch. Two buds are left. With this root, by the time harvest season kicks in, the buds will start to grow. Let me go a little further. Nope. It's coming. There it goes. Remember those two buds that we had shown earlier? Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, those two buds that were exposed, by the time we get to harvest season, they grow new, and now the grapes grow from those buds. Okay? But you have to cut all this excess fluff off so that these two buds can grow and extend and produce the fruit for that entire spur. Now they don't allow, the vine dresser only allows like 15 branches total for each vine, So it's not supposed to be oversaturated with vines and branches. Point is, I'm only using this to explain what those buds look like. So when you're reading in Ezekiel 16 and 7, I have caused thee to multiply as the bud in the field. So with the Most High's attention, with the Most High's development of Israel, He cleaned us up and put us in a position to now, and look at the next picture, to sprout up and be the people we were supposed to be and to produce fruit. So He's explaining He took us from having no confidence, no stability, riddled with guilt and loathing, and now He's turned us from this low state to now we can produce and bring forth fruit for the Heavenly Father. I'm just explaining. You're going to read all throughout the scriptures this process of budding and growing, and how the Most High, His intention from the beginning was to bind us and develop us for us to grow. Because what you're not reading in from verse 6 to 7 is how He took us from this bloodied, watered down position to where we're productive, to where we're budding and growing, and we're able to sit back here and shine. The way that He did that is through all the restraints. Because now you can see those same shoots and those branches that come from the spurs, just in a more articulate image. And for every one of those branches, there's literally 1, 2, 3, 4 catch wires that are attached to each of these branches. Matter of fact, there's 3 catch wires with tie downs that keep every branch straight up to get the maximum fruit from each of these plants. Why are we explaining it? Why am I going through all this? Am I just some green thumb ass dude right now? Because I'm not. I'm about to when we get to this land. I'm about to be grabbing in some dirt, and I just feel so energized for the sun rays of the earth. I want to know how that feels. Like how people say, everybody says yes. When I go on the earth, there's therapeutic. I'm like, is it? It looks like work to me. It looks like stress to me, but I'm going to figure it out. But when you sit back here and look at how vineyards work, we're going to read it later on, but once again, part of planning and training is setting up trellis, which is a wiring system, positioning shoots of the branches, and tying vines to ensure proper growth and structure. That's what it's for. All the tie downs are to ensure proper growth and structure. Because if you leave it up to the damn branches, they're going to be flowing like this, flowing like that. They're going to be moving it each and everywhere, and you're not going to get any symmetry. Think about this. When you're looking at this vineyard, all these branches are straight, right? So now guess what happens? There's even distribution of what? Sun, light, photosynthesis. Nutrients can be dispersed properly and evenly to get everything maxed out. If everything's moving the way it wants to go, some branches are going to get more nutrients than others. Then the fruit doesn't get all dispersed evenly the nutrients it needs. And we'll go on to the pruning, more depth about the pruning later on. But the structural positioning and the work that the vine dresser has to do to sit back and ensure maximum growth is a day-to-day process.
Can I read one thing real quick?
Yes.
It says sunlight exposure significantly impacts grape flavor by introducing sugar levels, acid balance, and the production of aromatic compounds through photosynthesis. Basic point is, when you have branches growing without structure, they can't get the even amount of sunlight, so you have different flavors per branch.
Huh.
It creates a chaos in flavor.
And you can't make your money that way. You
It's
have this
inconsistent.
uneven fruit. Some taste great, some taste like dog. You know what?
Yeah.
You got listen. Part of production is you want an even production of what you're trying to put together. This is the Most High also. But in order to get the most out of his fruit, what has to happen? There has to be a lot of feathers and structure, which is love. This is what the Most High was talking about in Ezekiel 16. The love the Most High gave Israel was structure and attention. The sickness and the hatred was the fact that we were left to our own devices and ignored. And our filth was never cleaned up. When it says that the blood was still on us, we weren't washed, we weren't clean, we weren't kept up, we weren't structured. But what's the enemy of our people to this day? We want to be dirty. We want to be nasty. We hate and despise structure. We despise structure. We look at structure as the devil, as the end of the world. The idea of order and respect is bad. It's the opposite. That's the only thing that separates us from the rest of the world. And that's the only thing that allows us to actually produce at an optimal enough level for the Most High to be at peace with us. For the Most High to love us and appreciate the work we're bringing to the table. We have to sit back and tie down our feelings and emotions, tie down the ego, tie down the disrespect, tie down the lack of order. So the Most High can get the most out of us, because the Most High is in charge of all of this.
Verse
Okay.
7.
Read verse 7 from the top again.
Come. Ezekiel chapter 16 and verse 7 reads, I have caused thee to multiply as the bud of the field.
And that's all I want from there. Matter of fact, read the next line.
And thou hast increased in waxen and waxen great.
Listen, but why did Israel increase and wax fat? Because of the structure, because of the day-to-day nitpicking the Most High was doing over our spirit. Think about the attention and the eyes the Most High had on us during Exodus and Leviticus and Numbers. He was that father that was hovering over every aspect of our lives, every decision that we make, every move that we make, and he was constantly adjusting us and adapting us and moving this around and putting this in front of us and taking this away. That is what a dresser does. That is what a husbandman does. That is the Most High. One who adjusts anything for optimal production. You know, the truth is, maybe this brother needs more discipline, then I got to create a scenario to give him more discipline. This brother needs to learn how to follow, then he's going to create scenarios that's going to be perfect for you to learn how to follow. The Most High sits back here and sets up everything in life in a way to force us to fight the battle he anticipates us to fight. So with all the why me and why am I going through this and why am I suffering this and why am I going through this scenario, we're starting to know why. The Most High is sitting here looking, walking past our vineyard and says, this spirit needs more light. This spirit, listen, we're gonna go as we continue this class. There are certain parts in the plant that take away from the optimal growth of the plant. And the Most High has to take these things away from the vine so that the entire vine can survive. This is what the Most High takes away things. He adds things to us. To assist us so we can do what? We can be more productive for him. You know, we're so selfish. We think this life is for us. That's the problem. We think every step I'm taking and making is for me to come up. It's the truth, isn't it? I was born on the earth to shine. I'm special. I'm him. I hate that word. I hate that. I'm him. I'm her. What? No, you're not. You're nothing. Didn't the Most High say thou worm, Jacob?
Yeah.
We're worms. If we can understand that we're not what we think we are, and that our purpose on earth is to be adjusted and molded by the Heavenly Father, so He can bring the most out of us and bring out the most virtue in us, then there'd be a whole lot less fighting and crying and tears and sadness and stress going through our minds. He's giving us all the answers we need right here, just in understanding horticulture. Listen, can a damn vine sit back here and say, this is not fair, Father, that you have me lined up and you have me in chains? I didn't choose to do this. I want to be free. I want to bend sideways when I want.
It's a dark outlook. Yeah,
I want to move like this.
I want
to grow like this.
Why?
How come I can't do that? And the viner's like, hell no. Because I know better than you. You do that, you're going to steal the life from the other branches. You're going to take from them. They need. So you're going to stay in this locked-in position until the harvest season is done and you dry out. Then I'm going to cut you off.
Because you're not going to be productive.
Because you're not productive anyway. The guy next to you is more productive than you. Once again, I promise we'll go into the pruning part later. So, let all that go and go to Psalms 118 in verse 27.
Psalms chapter 118, verse 27.
Read that.
Yes, sir. Verse 27. The Most High is the Lord, which hath showed us light.
The Most High is the Lord. He shows us the light. He guides us in a direction that is most beneficial to the development of your spirit, so you can bring forth works that pleases Him. That's the priority. Read on. So everything He's guiding you to and is pushing you to is to get the most out of you so you can serve Him better. Read on.
Bind the sacrifice with cords, even unto the horns of the altar.
Listen, who is the sacrifice? We know the sacrifices are animals, but there's also other sacrifices the Most High wants bound. Romans 12 and 1. Hold this verse, and somebody else give me Romans 12 and 1.
Romans chapter 12, verse 1.
Yes, sir.
I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of the Most High, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice.
He says, present your body as a living sacrifice. And if you're going to present your body a living sacrifice, that sacrifice has to be bound with what? Cords. What do you think this is? This is what a living sacrifice is. You don't get to do what you want to do. This life that you have is not yours to live. The life the Most High granted you is to serve Him. If you want to get the kingdom, you have to make that decision that this life is for Him, and He is going to maneuver and adjust your life in the fashion that He wants to get the most out of your spirit. And can we accept that about the Most High? This isn't a cutting class and a fire and brimstone thing. This is about learning how to change your perspective about who the Most High is and what your place is in this.
Is what it means to be chosen.
Yes, yes.
It's crazy because when you read this and you realize the complaining that we have because we're chosen, the restrictions we have because we're chosen, sounds just as crazy as those Edomites who were suing their parents for being born. I don't know if y'all heard about that.
That's crazy.
This 20-something-year-old, he sued his parents because their defense was, I didn't ask to be here, so y'all owe me money. That was a real case.
That was a good one. Right there.
That was a real
Wait,
case.
say that again.
This Edomite, I don't know if it was a boy, girl, or them. They were suing their parents.
Or them.
It could have been them. It could have been a plural.
Yeah.
They them.
It could have been.
I know. I'm just being stupid.
They were suing their parents because their defense was, I didn't ask to be here. You put me in this world to suffer. So I'm suing you for everything you got. That was the mentality. That's the same mentality we have with the Most
We
High.
just don't got the power to send a courier to the fourth dimension. Yahweh, I have some paperwork for you.
Yeah. I have some questions I need you to answer. Why'd you put me out here like this?
The great state of California has some paperwork, some documents you got to sign.
But the Bible says that. How can the creation say to the Creator, "Why is thou making?"
That's part of the class.
I didn't know.
Yeah, but keep going. But it's the truth. It's the truth. Because if we understand what our purpose is, then we will be less apt when there's difficulties, when there's challenges in our life, when there's lessons to be learned and accepted. There'd be less blowback.
Huh.
All these lessons and all these obstacles the Most High is presenting in front of you, the intention is to make you stronger and to make you produce more fruit for Him.
Huh.
And if you can accept that, you can be way more powerful in your job. Half of being in the truth is accepting what you were called to do in the first place and accepting your conditions the right way. If we can learn to accept our conditions, we can truly be powerful in Christ.
And be at peace.
And be at peace. You can be powerful, you can be at peace, and you can learn to abide in the vine, which is what St. John 15 is about in the first place.
Okay.
We're just not going to rush through it, and it's going to the abide, and me and him and me. We're not going to go there. We're going to explain what this looks like in the first place. It's easy to abide in Christ when you accept what you are and where you're supposed to be. And if you accept that you're sitting back here, you're supposed to bind yourself as a living sacrifice to the Heavenly Father. That sacrifice has to be bound before it is given to the priest. Are we binding ourselves and accepting the conditions the Most High puts us through so the Most High can work with us and He can maneuver us? Why is a sacrificial animal bound? So the sacrificial animal is bound so the priest can maneuver it in the way he has to create the sacrifice. We're bound so the Most High can maneuver us the way He wants to maneuver us to get the most out of us. Because that's what the vine dresser does. The vine dresser does what? He adjusts anything for optimal production. This is what the Father does. He adjusts our pride. He adjusts our selfishness. He adjusts our disrespect. He adjusts our negative outlook. And can we learn to adapt to those changes? Yes.
Would you say the binding process is also because we have a tendency to rebel?
Come. That's the point.
Yeah.
Listen, that is what the binding is there. The binding is there to sit back here and prevent the rebelling. The mature Israelite learns to value the binding, learns to value the direction. A lot of times we don't do that, though. So let's go to Ecclesiastes chapter 6 and kind of like talk more about this binding aspect a little more. Ecclesiastes 6, verse 24 to 29.
Ecclesiastes chapter 6 and verse 24.
Listen, normally I will start at verse 18, but we just don't have a lot of time to go into all the details because it's almost 9 o'clock already, and we're only on like 3 verses. So let's read.
Ecclesiastes chapter 6 and verse 24. And
No.
put the...
Read verse 18 real quick. That was I was quick. That was good. Read verse 18.
Ecclesiastes chapter 6 and verse 18. My son, gather instruction from thy youth up.
So gathering instruction is still about allowing yourself to be bound. So the younger that we allow ourselves to be bound by how the Most High develops us, the stronger we'll be. A lot of times we waste 5-10 years coming to this truth just resisting and wonder why we're not potent. Or a lot of us want to be potent in Christ. A lot of us want to be potent teachers. A lot of us want to be potent examples. What we're saying, we want our fruit to be potent. That's what we're implying. To be a potent example means our works. We want our works to be potent. But for your works to be potent, your works is your fruit. But how do you establish potent fruit? You have to allow yourself to be disciplined, tied down, and not allowed to do what it wants to do to be potent.
Which means I have to embrace the process.
You have to embrace it. That's the issue. That's the issue with people. People want to be potent, but don't want to be humble, and don't want to allow people to sit back here and mold them the way they need to be molded to be potent. You can't be potent with no order. You can't be potent with no discipline. You can't be potent if you can't rule over your tongue. You can't be potent if you don't know how to listen. You can't be potent. Your fruit can't be potent if you don't know how to follow. If you refuse to follow. You can't be potent if you can't see the good in the lessons the Most High is teaching you.
And you know what's crazy, bro? It talks about how much light is supposed to go into grapes to create a certain amount of sugars.
Yeah.
But the light, we know the light in the scriptures is, a lot of times light is information and correction.
Mm-hmm.
It's both.
Mm-hmm.
So how much correction and information is it going to take for us to be strong?
Okay.
A lot of us are blockers. We're professional information blockers. We're professional counsel dodgers. And this is another reason why that light can't penetrate so that we can produce those potent fruits.
I don't want to go too deep into it.
I'm not going there.
Because there's way more to this. There's way more to how the plant works and how there are parts of the plant that grow alongside the vine that their entire job is just to take from it. So part of the vine dresser's job is to take away anything that is going to not allow the roots or the branches to maximize its potency. Okay? So let's continue. Verse 18.
Ecclesiastes chapter 6 and verse 18. My son, gather instruction from thy youth up, so shalt thou find wisdom to thine old age.
So it tells you that earlier in your life that you embrace the cords, you embrace those tie downs, you embrace those trellises, that wiring system that keeps you tied down to that metal. The earlier in your life that you choose to accept it, the more potent you'll be in time. Because you have to look at development like the Most High looks at development. How vineyards are made potent. Look at this image again, and look at when you look at this vineyard, all you see is order. Nobody gets to do what the hell it wants to do. Everybody's tied down from the base of the vine all the way up to the tip top. Not one of these vines are allowed to do what it wants to do. And that's what makes it potent. Everything is controlled and optimized to get the most out of each branch. This is how the Most High thinks. This is how the Most High looks at us. The Most High looks at us and wants us uniform in our production, uniform in our constraints, and acceptant of our constraints, so that we can all produce good fruit. But we can't produce good fruit if for the very first of it we don't accept the trellises or the restraints that is the most important thing to even produce the fruit. You need the restraints first. Continue. Just jump now in Ecclesiastes 6 and go to verse 24.
God. Ecclesiastes chapter 6 and verse 24.
Matter of fact, you got to read 19.
God. Verse 19. Come unto her as one that ploweth and
The
soweth.
way you learn how the Most High deals with development is the same way how men in the world plow and sow. He's explaining the same thing. He's going to talk about fetters to us, but he's saying the same way the Most High deals with us is how man learns how to train up plants to get the most out of his plants. It's the exact same process. Come to serving the Most High like you understand what plowing and sowing looks like.
That's why he gives us jobs, right? So you can learn.
Yep.
Because in time, Quintus,
Yeah, because Ecclesiastes 7 says that. He says the Most High ordained husbandry. Why? He ordained husbandry because there's lessons in it. There was lessons for us to learn what it took to get optimal fruit, optimal vegetables out of your harvest. There was listen, for the people that I know, even today, who deal with planting, you know when you know you're a really crappy vine dresser? When none of your vegetables last. Half the damn fruits and vegetables is dead. Like, damn, what happened, my seed? Oh, yeah, it's in growth.
something happens.
What happened? I don't know. But the fact that you don't know is the problem. And I'm not knocking people that got to work 9 to 5 jobs or whatever, and their plants don't grow. But the lesson is, if you want it to be better, you got to put time into it.
Yeah.
You got to study how the plants operate. There's a significant checklist you got to go through. You ever see that Apple line where it says you can take a picture of it and it says this damn plant needs milk? I even never knew plants needed milk. This plant needed sugar. This plant needed some salt. I was like, what the hell? And if you spend $40, $50 or $30 for the app, you can go around here and take pictures of fruits and vegetables and plants, and they'll tell you what's wrong with it and what's needed to actually restore the plant. I'm like, that is amazing, because I would have never decided milk was a solution. Milk, you got to put milk on, or you're overwatering. And you're overwatering, you're killing the plant. There's certain plants that don't need that much water. How do you know that? You have to study these things year after year after year. Why am I going into all these specifics and all the detail you need to go into to learning about plants? This is the Most High. He is the husbandman. His job every day is studying and analyzing us and knowing what we need to be the most potent for him. And we're sitting back here all through our life angry about why the Most High got us going through life. And we're missing the point. There's nothing to be angry about. If he's taking this away, or he's bringing this in your life, or he's taking away your freedoms, that's the first thing he does when he develops you. When he starts taking away your range of operation, that's love. Because that's what he does to his vines and all of those branches that he has high hopes for. Yes, Tawam.
Is that like micromanaging?
Yes, he is the king of micromanaging, but he's perfect at it. He's there, involved in every single part of your life. He's a helicopter dad. He's sitting back here watching that was a horrible swing. Fix this. That was a bad decision. Tighten that up. You need to do this to be optimal. You got to tighten that up, fix that, tweak that, and you'll be better. That's love. Read on.
God. Ecclesiastes chapter 6 and verse 19. Come unto her as one that ploweth and soweth, and wait for her good fruit.
Listen, the amount of work and attention to detail that it takes to plowing and sowing in order to wait for the good fruits for those vineyards is immense work. It's focus, it's dedication that the Most High does, that man does to get the most out of their plants. He's like, this is how the Most High deals with us. It's the same process. Read on.
God. For thou shalt not toil much in laboring about her, but thou shalt eat of her fruits right soon.
Listen, we'll eat of the fruits of wisdom soon if we accept soon. Half the time, we can't get past the fact that there's restraints on us. More times than not, we can't accept the fact that we lose our freedom. We can't keep it real like we want to keep it real. We can't just speak, we got to listen. I can't sit back here and see the bad in you to justify why I don't got to change. I got to just sit back and say con and get the lesson from it and go to work. If we learn to accept the restraints and learn the lessons, like these branches got to get up in the morning and accept the water, accept the sun, and accept the restraints and wait to grow. It's the same thing with us. Can we just get up in the morning and allow our husbands to correct us, allow sisters to correct us, allow brothers to correct us and grow? Why is that so hard? Haven't y'all realized we're teaching the same things? We're correcting brothers on the same issues. Are we not?
Yeah.
Are we changing up corrections and changing up the issues that are happening?
No, this
it's the
is
same
problem.
corrections over and over and over again, and we resist it.
It might sound like a new correction because you didn't pick up on the first time.
Yeah.
It might sound like it's
Because you know why it's different? It sounds different because we're so busy trying to get out of these restraints.
Now you're saying this. No, it's the same exact issue. Just this is the more detailed version.
We're explaining how to grow. You grow when you stop fighting out to be out of your situation. Brothers and sisters are too fixated on removing themselves from the cords in order to just receive the nutrients and the blessing that's right in front of them. He's explaining that it doesn't take long to gain the benefits of the wisdom if you embrace the cords and all the restraints that come from plowing and sowing. The same way that we plow and sow in the world is how the Most High plows and sows our spirit with wisdom. It's the same thing. Read on.
God. She is very unpleasant to the unlearned.
Exactly. She is unpleasant to the unlearned. There is a verse that I'm trying to pull. It's out of sequence. Hold this. Ecclesiastes 21 and 19. No, just let it run.
God.
Read that.
Ecclesiastes chapter 21 and verse 19. Doctrine unto fools.
Doctrine is the right way to do things. When brothers give you the right way to do things and counsel. How to put your house in order. How to be obedient at the work site. How to sit back and listen to your husband. How to appreciate sisters when they counsel with you. That's doctrine. Doctrine is like tried and tested solutions in how to deal in the work. It says doctrines to fools is like what?
Is as fetters on the feet.
And that's the thing. When people are giving counsel out, it's like you're putting me in jail, man.
And more weights.
It's like you're putting me in jail and you're throwing away the key. That's how we look at correction and development. We don't look at advice as a tool to develop. Israel looks at correction and counsel as a punishment, as a painful ordeal. And this is why it takes us so long to grow. Because we refuse the medicine. But if we're going to look at things like plants, accept the condition, accept the tie downs, and in a few months you'll be straight as an arrow. And you'll be potent. And you'll be strong. And you'll be a better person than you were before. But most of it is just about accepting the process. Accepting the chords. Let it go and go back to Wisdom of Solomon 7. Ecclesiastes 7. 6, Ecclesiastes 6, yes.
Ecclesiastes chapter 6 and verse 20. She is very unpleasant to the unlearned. He that is without understanding would not remain with her.
Because the people without understanding can't appreciate the wisdom. The people that are fools, you can tell a fool when he's always arguing with his counselors. That's the fool in the building.
Yeah.
The fool in the building always got something to say and retort to positive correction. And if you ever want to know who the fool is, it's the person that just can't take a check. Why argue with a fool? That's a lesson for us to understand. The fool argues. The fool is arguing. The fool is always the vocal one complaining about a condition.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to accept the conditions of how the Most High develops you. And the one that rattles off at the mouth and is yapping about why things are so uncomfortable and why things are so messed up, there's your village idiot. There's the fool. The village idiot is walking around simple.
My way.
That's the village.
My way. Not your way. Okay.
That's the village idiot.
We've heard this.
That's
for
the
years.
village idiot or village idiots. So that's Simple Jack, like in that movie. I don't know if you ever saw That's Simple Jack. Keep going. If y'all watch the movie, it was with Tom Cruise, all those guys out. Simple Jack out, Ben Stiller out. Come on, listen. If you watch it, it was hilarious. But yeah, that's how Israel is, right? I don't want to take correction. They're the village idiot. They're the fool. Because correction is grievous to them. It's like torture. Okay? But let's continue.
God. She will lie upon him as a mighty stone of trial,
Mm-hmm.
and he will cast her from him ere it be long.
And that the problem is this. Can we take the constraints? Can we take the cords and not look at it as torture? Because the person that takes correction as torture will never grow. The person that takes correction and is offended will never grow. The person that takes correction and all they can focus on is what the corrector is doing will never grow. And what ends up happening is Israelites that are under these cords for periods of time and they never learn to submit, they never maximize their potential, then they're bitter that their entire life in the truth was based upon being corrected by people, but they never learn to embrace it. If you learn to submit, get the lessons and learn, then you can grow. Then you can be the best person you can be, and you can see the value of the restraints we're about to talk about. Read on.
God. It says, for wisdom is according to her name, and she is not manifest unto many.
Listen, wisdom isn't manifest to a lot of people because a lot of people can't accept the conditions necessary to gain wisdom. There's a lot of sacrifice and selflessness that is involved in gaining wisdom. Read on.
God. It says, give ear, my son, receive my advice, and refuse not my counsel.
This is why he says not to refuse counsel, not to refuse the fetters, not to refuse the cords. Read on.
God. And put thy feet into her fetters.
You have to put your feet into those fetters and accept the correction. We just read in Ecclesiastes 21 when correction comes to people that are fools, it's fetters. So if it's fetters, he's like, accept the fetters. Embrace the fetters. Embrace how hard it is to be told you're wrong. Embrace how uncomfortable it is to not be able to do what you want to do when you want to do it. That's the only way to grow. That's the only way to optimize what you give to the Heavenly Father. There is no other way but to put yourself in those fetters or put yourself in those trellises, all of these catch wires. You have to willingly put yourself in these trellises or catch wires if you want to get the most out of your service for the Heavenly Father. And you want the Most High to truly be happy with you. Hold this and go to Tobit. chapter 4 and 19. We're going back here, Cry, though.
Con.
Tobit chapter 4 verse 19. Oh, God.
Tobit chapter 4, verse 19.
Read.
Bless the Lord thy power always, and desire of him that thy ways may be directed.
So the thing is this. We have to bless the Lord and always ask that he directs our ways. Because he's the one doing it anyway. You have to always ask that he, and appreciate and embrace the fact that he's directing your ways. And he is in control of everything you got going on. And if he is in control of everything you got going on, this is really how you put yourself in his fetters. I'm not fighting the direction he's taking me. I am accepting the direction he's taking me. If the Most High got this brother over me for a reason, I'm going to accept that. The Most High got this husband over me, I'm going to accept that. If the Most High got this sister checking me, I'm going to accept that. Whatever conditions the Most High's got me going through, more than half of the key of maintaining your potency is acceptance. Obedience comes later. Accepting the condition is first. Can you accept the condition that the Most High's got you in? If you can accept the condition the Most High's got you in, if you can accept that he's the vine dresser, he's the one adjusting everything in your life to get the most out of your spirit, then obedience comes next. You really can't get obedient until you accept the condition. Does that make sense? Okay, continue in Tobit.
And that all thy paths and counsels may prosper.
So he says all your paths and counsels will prosper once you accept he's in control of all the paths anyway. So are your paths really your paths? No. You're just making paths accepting the direction the Most High's got you going. And the key to growth is not to try to forge your own path. Like Esau wants to always talk about. Create your own destiny. No, that's not what the Bible says. It accepts the destiny he has provided for you. And that destiny got you on that vineyard, in those trellises and those tie downs, expecting you to produce optimal fruit for the harvest. Read on.
For every nation hath not counsel, but the Lord himself giveth all good things.
So he says every nation doesn't have this direct attention. This is our advantage. But we look at it like it's a stone and trowel over your head. We hate the fact that the Most High micromanages everything on us in our lives. Ezekiel 16 said the same thing. We were like the nations being ignored. Moses said, I'm going to choose you. He's like, the nations don't have this attention, don't have the Most High hovering over them like he hovers over us. This is why Amalekans do all the wickedness they do. Esau can do all the evil they can do. And then I get hit. We sit back here and think about some wickedness. And guess what? We're getting smashed. That's why the Most High is hovering over us. Esau can sit back here and be world conquerors and kill Gazans by the thousands. Not give a damn. Create all kind of wicked plots. Did you know? I'm going to say what we said earlier. Did you know that over 387,000 Issacharites, 9.5 tribers, children, crossed over the border over the whole Biden administration? Around 387,000. Do you know that 325,000 are unaccounted for?
That's ridiculous.
387,000 children crossed over the border within the 4-year administration of Joe Biden. 325,000 are unaccounted for. They don't know where they're at. How do you lose 325,000 kids?
No, you don't. Say you lost. Send them to a relative's house.
No.
Nah, it ain't it, buddy.
Listen. If you want to pull the joke out of it, I'm gonna say this: it's 325,000 children that are no longer here.
Yeah.
Either they're no longer here, or they're in very bad situations. We're talking about children.
Yeah.
Why am I saying that? Esau can sit back here and steal 325,000 children, and his kingdom's still running.
You know, black children alone. There was a study. I don't know the recent update, but in 2020, it said 65,000 black women had gone missing.
Bro.
Just off the face of the map. No one knows where they're at.
Right.
Yep.
That's just 1 year.
Listen. I saw pictures of these children getting crossed over the border. They are completely unresponsive. The children, these guys are holding these children. The children are like this.
Yeah.
What children are like this in broad daylight? And their necks, they're not even moving. They're drugged, Doc. They said during the Trump administration, 4 years before Biden, the parent had to provide proof that the kid was his. Now, these people are coming up here. They don't got to prove the kid is theirs. They're just saying, this is my son. This is my daughter. And they're bringing them up. I saw some images on camera where they're sitting back here. Coyotes, or whatever the hell you want to call them, are they're just dumping little girls over the wall and leaving.
Kids.
And then somebody comes and picks them up. And then who's picking them up? They're not going to their mama. There was I don't want to show the film on the tape, but there was a guy who was a reporter about the issues on the border, and somebody threw the little girl over the wall, and they asked the little girl, "Where is your mom and dad?" It says, "Mi papa is in heaven."
Oh man.
And my mama is in heaven. So who are you here for? Who threw you over there? Who are you coming to get you? She didn't have an answer.
Yeah.
She just got snatched over, thrown over, and that her life is over from that point on. I'm bringing that out to say Esau could do that and not get immediately smashed. We sit back here and have some bozo thoughts, and Most High wrecks our life. That lets you know who the Most High is really with, and who the Most High is just letting them run their course until He destroys them. That's facts. So, what are we explaining? All we're read that verse again where we're at.
Verse 19. Bless the Lord thy power always, and desire of him that thy ways may be directed, that all thy paths and counsels may prosper. For every nation.
Your paths and your moves will only prosper if you understand what? That the Most High is directing your ways. He's directing. You need to see it. You can see it this way. If you understand, He is in control. He is that vine dresser that is controlling every part of your life in expectation that you develop more for Him. So the thing is this. So whatever I do and whatever I plan, after accepting the Most High directs my plans, and He expects me to bring more fruit for Him. Think about this. If I understand the Most High wants me to produce more fruit from Him, then all of my actions will be accordingly. All of my decisions will be accordingly. Does that make sense? If I understand the Most High expects me to produce fruit so He can be proud of me, then all of a sudden I'm not going to make decisions that benefit me anymore. My decisions and my plans become His plans. Our anticipation to following His expectation of me. Read on.
For every nation hath not counsel.
Every nation doesn't have counsel like that. Every other nation in the world doesn't have the Most High's handprints on every one of our decisions. Every other nation doesn't have that level of focus on us. Read on.
But the Lord himself giveth all good things, and he humbleth whom he will.
He humbles the ones he loves. The ones he expects to produce fruit. He gonna keep humbling you until you do what? Produce this damn fruit. And grow. And lock into the method in which is required to produce the fruit, which is the accepting of the cords and the binding of your flesh. To be that living sacrifice to produce the fruit he expects you to produce. Read on.
As he will.
Are you done with that verse 19, sir?
I still not.
Keep going.
Now therefore, my son, remember my covenant.
No, my
Remember
commandment.
my commandments. Neither let them be put out of thy mind.
Okay, so let that go and let's get back in Ecclesiasticus chapter 6, sir.
Come. Ecclesiastes chapter 6 and verse 24. And put thy feet into her fetters, and thy neck into her chain. Bow down thy shoulder, and bear her, and be not grieved with her bonds.
Once again, it's about not being grieved with the restraints. He's letting us know constantly that you only grow with the added constraints. You only grow with the added support. Can you accept that the restraints and the fetters are support? Like we can logically see that the wiring on the vineyards is support. We can see that.
Yeah.
We can see the constraints on these branches is to protect the branches.
And it makes sense.
And it makes sense. But we can't see how the constraints in our life is to support our spirit so we can fight. That don't make sense. That's craziness. That is insanity.
No way.
But those same supports are cords. Cords are supports.
Yeah.
Without support, there's nothing to stabilize anything off of.
Therefore, you're
And now you grow wherever the hell you want to grow, and that's unstable, and you end up being unproductive. Why am I taking this time slowing it down like this? Because we have to understand how the Most High views support. Support is cords. I sure want the Most High support right now. We're locked into these damn cords and locked into this order. That is the support you're looking for. But we don't look at it that way. You know, we want a handout. We want some fish in our hand.
Yeah.
We want a blessing. We want some income tax to come in. That's what we want. We want a big ass income tax check. $5 grand will sure be nice. That will make me smile. But the support that he's offering can give us production down the line. The discipline. The fetters he's trying to put us under. That's support. Read on.
God. It says, bow down thy shoulder and bear her, and be not grieved with her bonds.
Because the bonds really aren't bonds. What verse are you at? 26. Read 26 now.
Verse 26. Come unto her with thy whole heart, and keep her ways with all thy power.
Mm-hmm.
Search and seek, and she shall be made known unto thee.
Because the key of searching and seeking and asking and knocking and all that stuff is based upon what is the Most High's expectation of me. Tobit 4:19 kind of tells it to you. If you start accepting what the Most High wants from you and accepting how he is manipulating you and manipulating the situation to get the most from him, then all of a sudden your thinking can adjust, your seeking can adjust. What you're looking for in your pursuit can adjust. And now your pursuit there can be a fruitfulness in your pursuit. Once you accept what? The Most High wants me to grow. All these things he's presenting in front of me is to bring out the best in my spirit. Read on.
God. It says, come unto her with thy whole heart, and keep her ways with all thy power.
Keep going.
Search and seek, and she shall be made known unto thee. And when thou hast got hold of her, let her not go.
Read on.
It says, for at the last thou shalt find her rest, and that shall be turned to thy joy.
At the last, once you accept the parameters, you'll find that joy you're looking for once you see your growth. Once you see the growth only comes after the discipline. The growth comes after the dedication. Then you'll understand why when the Spirit is like, just learn how to follow. Just learn how to work on you. You know, it's very hard for Israel just to work on themselves. We talk to brothers about being a great example. We talk to men about being blameless. Why is it so important that we teach Israel leadership to be blameless? It's important to teach blamelessness because Israel don't want to take accountability. Israel doesn't want to look at themselves and say, I got to fix these things. We don't want to look at ourselves naturally and say, the Most High has his hand on me. What do I got to give him to get me out of this situation?
Right, so take yourself out of the equation, but they can't use an excuse to justify their own.
That's exactly because we don't want to naturally just see ourselves. We don't have the humility it takes to just see ourselves. This is why as husbands, when husbands correct their women, half the time the woman is looking at what they don't do. Because they don't want to take the accountability. And men do the same thing. So Most High knows that. We have to be blameless just to get people to see themselves. It's sad. But it's true. Let's continue. I want to get through this. I didn't want to do this, but we start reading about the seed and the plowing. You have to tie it in because it's all relatives. Read on, relatives. Read on.
Verse 29. Then shall her fetters be a strong defense.
Listen, all of these fetters, all of this trellis ends up being the vineyard or the branch's defense. It's what makes it potent. It's what makes it optimal, and it gets the most out of the fruit. All the chains, all the wiring, all the restraints is what makes the grapes great. So when you're sitting back here and having delicious grapes and delicious fruit, know what it took to get that. You're getting delicious produce because these vines couldn't have it their way. Think about it. This is delicious wine. Yes, just know that aged vineyard and those delicious grapes couldn't have it the way they wanted to. They had fetters on them. And because they had fetters, you had great wine. And you're sitting back here doing this.
Yeah, getting the aromas.
It's moving like this. This is so delicious. They're like, playing the harp in the background. The ambiance is so dope. Just know that something had to be sacrificed. The will of those plants had to be sacrificed so your palate can be satiated. This is stop your, hunger.
Yeah.
Keep going, now.
The fetters wasn't, for their betterment for their own taste. It was for the
vine dressers. For the vine dressers' taste.
Yeah.
It goes back. This is not our life.
For the master.
Our actions are to please the Heavenly Father, so He can be pleased with the fruit. It's not about us anyway.
Your body's not your own.
Your body's not your own. What you do with it is not your own. You are the Lord's. We are bought with the what?
Price.
Thank you. That's the point. But we don't look at life that way. If we learn to look at life this way, everything we're going through won't be as uncomfortable and difficult as we make it.
We don't look at the life through a Hebrew lens. We look at it through a Greek lens. Or American lens. That's why this is such a hard process.
We better start fixing it, making it art.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Very acceptable.
Well, doesn't change the fact that it's true. Okay, so are we finished with that verse 29?
Yes, sir.
Let's continue.
No.
Read verse 29.
Okay. Then shall her fetters be a strong defense for thee, and her chains a robe of glory.
Those chains, everything that doesn't all those restraints, all those lack of freedoms that serving the Most High entail, serving the Most High is actually what makes you potent. That's what makes you glorious. Israel wants freedom. That's what makes you at the bottom of the barrel. How about that? So for the Israelites that don't like the message, the one who put the thumb down, they want freedom. The person who wants freedom doesn't want glory in Christ. And that's the truth. The one that put the thumb down doesn't accept a life of service because they want to be free.
That's the fool in the room.
That's that simple jack.
Why is this thing working?
No, am I not getting blessed by God?
Where is he?
You know why? Because there's no humility. There's no acceptance of the fetters the Lord puts on all of us. It's very simple. Even to the simple. Let that go and go to Psalms chapter 107, verses 37. Psalms 107, verses 10. Oh, I'm sorry.
37.
Yeah, 37. 37. Let me get there. Let's do it. No. Let me get there. Read that.
Psalm chapter 107, verse 37. And sow the fields, and plant vineyards, which may yield fruits of increase.
That's the only reason the Most High got the fruits out there in the first place. Listen, he sows the fields. Don't forget, he is the vine dresser. Christ is the vine. Why in the hell is the Most High out there? Why is he sowing his damn field? Why is he sowing the fields in us? Why is he developing us? He says he's developing us in the fields and planting vineyards. Read on.
Which may yield fruits of increase.
The expectation is for us to grow and increase in our works, in our caliber. Maybe people need to sit by. I've watched like 50 YouTube videos on pruning and vine dressing. It is all the same thing. Sterilization, details, attention to details, creating and having these vines be in this submissive position for optimal growth. The vines have to submit. The branches got to submit. And if everybody submits properly, then there's growth. This is no different than a marriage. If the wife don't submit, the house can't grow. If the man can't submit to the body, the house can't grow. Submission is the key to growth. Accepting the restraints. Anyway, let that go. Go to Ecclesiastes in the Apocrypha, chapter 17. Verse 18 and 19.
18 and 19.
Yep.
Ecclesiastes chapter 17 and verse 18 reads. You ready?
Yep.
Whom, being his firstborn, he nourisheth with
The
discipline.
Most High nourished us with discipline. Just like he nourished us with discipline in Ezekiel chapter 16. He had to put us together. He had to clean us up. What was the first thing he did? He had to make us bud. How do you make any of these plants bud? You have to sit back here and refine it and tie it down. You have to tie down that plant so it can bud and grow and get the most bounty for him.
And it's going to be based on the will of the vine dresser,
God.
not the will of the vine.
God. Well, let's continue. Maybe so, yeah. Not gonna happen.
Come. Whom being his firstborn, he nourishes with discipline.
Mm-hmm.
And giving him the light of his love, doeth not forsake him.
Read on.
Therefore all their works are as the sun before him, and his eyes are continually upon their ways.
The Most High is continually looking at us. He's continually looking at how we're progressing. He's continually looking at, okay, how is this brother progressing? How is this sister progressing? What does this brother or sister need in their life for them to grow? Does this brother need more correction? Does this sister need more sternness? Does this sister need to be listened to more? What? Does this sister need to work 2 jobs? Does this brother got to work more? Does this sister got to study more? Does this brother got to study more? What has to happen in their life to lock them in and to get them to fight?
The Most High Christ has conditions.
This is how we have to look at your personal life. Why does he have me go through this type of extreme? Why does he have me going through that type of extreme? What would be the logical reason? If I'm suffering this, what is the lesson on the other side? Because if the Bible is true, and his eyes are continually on our ways, then what is he stressing in my life to fix right here? Once again, the title of the class is Understanding How the Most High Develops Us. We have to learn how he looks and thinks at things. Think of him going through the vineyard every day, making sure there's no diseases in the plants, making sure there's no mildew in the vineyard, making sure there's not any excessive growth around the vineyard, to protect the vines, to protect the branches. And he's going from branch to branch to branch, doing daily inspections. This is how he's doing us. He's doing daily inspections on our branches to make sure we're protected, we're given enough sun, enough light, enough nutrients, enough water. This is how he's developing us. Okay? Did you finish verse 19?
Yep. Gone.
Let's now go to Isaiah 64. Run out of time. Isaiah 64. Isaiah 64 verse 8. Yeah.
Kind. Isaiah chapter 64 verse 8.
Let me, I'm trying to, 64. Yeah, read that, sir.
Yes, sir. Isaiah 64 and 8. But now, O Lord, thou art my father. We are the clay.
No, thou art our father.
Thou art our father. We are the clay, and thou our potter. And we all are the work of thy hand.
Listen, we're the clay. He's every day molding us. This is another type of simile or example of how he's so hands-on with us. Whether he's hands-on as the vine dresser or the husbandman, or he's the person making the clay, making the adjustment of the clay, adding clay, taking away clay, molding us and shaping us how he wants us to. These are constant reminders that we're not in control of our circumstances. He is. And whatever he's taken away is because he wants it to be taken away. If he's adding something, it's because he wants it to be added. And the key to our growth is the adapting and adjusting to those realities. Okay? Let that verse go and go to Ecclesiastes 33 and verse 13.
Ecclesiastes chapter 33 verse 13.
Read that.
As the clay is in the potter's hand to fashion it at his pleasure, so man is in the way of him that made him to render to them as liketh him best.
This is what we got to accept. He made us how he made us, to his pleasure and his will. We make too much of ourselves, and we inject ourselves in the equation way too much. He is in control of our development, who he has over us, how difficult or challenging our circumstance is. He is in control. He has that power. Whether he's the person in control of the clay, or he's the person in control of how you get pruned, how you get clipped, how you get hedged, how you get developed. It's not about you. And the quicker we can learn that, the quicker and the longer we can stay potent for. Okay? Okay. I'm trying to run through this, but I want to get as much as we can through here. Go real quick to Isaiah 29 and 16.
Isaiah 29 and 16. Surely your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay.
Read that again.
Come. Isaiah 29:16. Surely your turning of things.
So what does that mean? He says surely the Most High turning things upside down in your life is what?
Says surely your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay.
We're just the potter's clay, and he's turning us around how he wants to.
Esteem means to compare.
Yes. Listen, how many times we somebody said, "Man, my life is just turned upside down. What's going on? My life is chaotic right now. Why is this happening to me?" It's just the potter's clay, and it's the Most High just moving it around like he wants to. He turns your life upside down.
That's the finger of the Lord.
That's the finger in the hand of the Lord, huh? Do we believe that when we're catching hell?
No, you don't want to believe it.
You don't want to believe it. Because you want to sit back and blame somebody.
I got the phone call. Yeah, move. I said, come on now.
Oh, you mean in Georgia?
Yeah, no.
That's...
I'm like, bro, I'm pretty good over here. I'm loving it over here.
Yeah.
You got to go back over here? For what? I live 50 minutes from the school.
Yeah. Yeah.
I go all the way over here?
Yep.
For what? I'm good.
Yep.
But if I resisted, most I would have destroyed
it would have been a problem.
I know 3 months down the lane, we had a 1929 stock market crash in the Jew market. I had no idea you saved me.
Come. But this is the situation. Yeah. Why am I going through this verse? This verse just explains when life gets turned upside down. You had an idea of how things are going to be, and then life switched on you. That was the Most High switching life on you. That was the Most High making life harder. Because for your life to be switched upside down, that means you're being thrown off balance. When your life is thrown off balance, when you've lost control,
you gotta consider your ways.
When things that you normally had control over, now you don't have control over. What does that bring most of the time? Anxiety, fear, panic, stress. Why? Why does the panic, fear, and stress come? Because now you're moving around trying to control your environment again. That's the wrong way to look at it. Instead of trying to control your environment, because your environment is turned upside down, take the time to meditate on what the Most High is teaching you. What do you have to fix spiritually to get back on top? Because the Most High is turning his clay over and starting over again. It's like, he might have had a clay the way it is. Say, man, forget this. Turns it all over. Now he's going to make the ball again and make what he was going to make again. Because he didn't like how it's forming. Sometimes he's turning your life over because he doesn't like how it's turning out. He doesn't like the finished product. He doesn't like what it's turning out to be. So if he doesn't like how it's turning out to be and how you're rounding out, he's going to turn it upside down, break it down, and start over and start afresh to build you a better way. That's how he turns you upside down. That's why he turns you upside down. Because whatever direction you're going, however you're being formed, isn't what he wants.
The Shabbat class proved that.
Mm-hmm.
When there was no longer a strong priest and there was no longer the option of righteousness, then he had to allow the flood to come in, which is the military to come in, destroy the culture, destroy the society.
Turn everything upside down.
And then start back from scratch and then rebuild spiritual options.
It's rebuild spiritual options. Now I got to sit back here and tie them back into those trellis devices. Mm-hmm. Tie them back into those wires. Tie these chutes back in to where now it can't move anymore. It's got to get rebuilt. Everything's out of whack. So this is a great way to look at life. When life gets you in a scenario where your life is turned upside down, what's the spiritual lesson? Why is the Most High turning your life upside down? Yeah. What was inside of you that made the Most High say, I got to change this up. This ain't working. Right?
Done.
Right?
Con.
No, that's
like this.
La,
Like this. Like this. Con.
I don't.
It's like give me a
Concur.
circle. Con. Yes, I.
It's not like the Most High said, I don't like the way you're trying to.
Yeah.
We come back and redirect you the way I want you.
It keeps going back to the Most High is in control of every aspect of your development. And I don't think we acknowledge that or like that. Because when you're going away, he don't want you to go. He's going to turn this thing over.
For you gamers, you're getting respawned.
You're getting respawned at? What does that even mean, at?
Listen, bro.
You're getting respawned
I'm
where?
not a big gamer. You die and you come back to
But you don't go back to like where you were in that fighting
You just
scene.
go,
You go back to the beginning, level one at?
Like, I used to get killed. I don't even get it too much, but he knows better.
You go back to the white team
or-
GTA, right? In the
Or
hospital.
you get killed and you gotta go for Call of Duty, right? You get killed, you gotta go to the pit, and if you survive,
pit?
you
The
survive.
gulag. You go to the gulag.
Survive the pit.
Oh,
Then
yeah.
you go to the next round. If you don't survive, you don't.
What's
go
in
to
the
next
pit,
round.
man? What's so crazy about the pit?
It's the gulag, guy. It's a fight to the death.
You gotta fight your way out this.
But aren't you fighting the black guy fights and he runs away from the guys like and he hits him again and he runs away?
Like,
Is that how it is? At?
You get a random weapon. Like
a bat or something like that?
There's people. There's other dead people watching you. They're throwing rocks at you. They're throwing rocks at you. Makes it so you get hit and you're disoriented, and you're fighting this other guy with a random weapon, maybe a pistol or a handgun or a knife, and whoever wins that gets to go back and survive.
That's horrible.
That's the gulag, guy. That's the gulag right there. That's Call of Duty.
I'm back to the streets.
Yes,
Back
sir.
at it.
I'm old school, so I want to go back to Nintendo, Mario Brothers, you know, when he gets hit.
He gets all small again. Yeah.
That's better.
You
Yeah.
gotta start the game.
At least he's athletic. At least he can run and jump a little bit out. But kind of. Yeah, it's the truth. But this is what he does with your life. With your life. And can we accept that? But the problem is when that happens, we don't take the time to study and say we're the clay and the Most High is turning our life upside down. We want to be angry at somebody. We want to blame the camp. Blame a brother, blame a sister, blame a person. When it's the Most High controlling every aspect of your scenarios. And if we can maintain that perspective, we can stay potent. Okay? And our lows won't be for long. Okay. You have more in there, sir?
Con.
In verse 16, I'll read it from the top.
Isaiah 29:16. Surely your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay.
Now listen, this verse is where Paul got his verse from in talking about the potter looking at the clay.
Yeah,
And
Romans
the
9.
clay looking at the potter saying, why'd you make me this way?
Yeah.
He's pulling from Isaiah. So read this.
For shall the work say of him that made it,
So shall the clay talk to the potter and say what?
he made me not.
He didn't make me. I'm in control of my life.
Self-made.
That's what people be thinking. This is how we think. We don't operate conscious of the fact that the Most High is controlling it all. We want to tell ourselves, I'm in control of my own destiny. Most High isn't hovering over me like that. These are my choices, and I can change and steer the ship. Read on.
Or shall the thing framed say of him that framed it, he had no understanding.
Most High, why the Most High put me through this? It don't make no sense. I don't want to say why the Most High is putting me through this hell
not
and these
wisdom.
calamities. This ain't fair. This ain't wisdom. This ain't the spirit. Why has it got to be this way?
Yeah.
Because what he's saying is he has no understanding. Now he's saying the potter don't make no sense in what he's putting me as the pot through. We do that all the time. Do we not do that? Complain about our circumstances and why the Most High got me under this person. I gotta submit to this situation or submit to that situation. It's all the time that way. Yes, sir.
Instead of glory and tribulation.
Con. Instead of glorying in tribulation, we complain about our lot in life. What the Most High put me through. This don't make no sense. Because when I say this don't make no sense, what I'm saying is the Most High don't make no sense. This ain't fair. You're saying the Most High is not fair. And he understands not. Right?
Yeah.
See, Isaiah is just giving a little more specifics about the complaints. That, listen, it's no different from a vineyard perspective. Why did you trim this off from me? I love this. I love this person. I wanted this next to me. I'm comfortable with this way of life. Why don't you take that away from me? Why don't you take this ease away from me? Why are you making me work harder and push harder? This isn't fair. Why are you exposing my flaws like this? This is how we think but it's the Most High's will. He's exposing the weaknesses. He's taking the things away from your coverings that you're comfortable having. He exposes you. He brings you to an exposed position so you can grow, not complain about it. Does that make sense? Okay. Are we finished with verse 16?
Yeah.
Yes, we are. I need a yellow marker if y'all got it. Can I see that one? Just toss it. I can catch it. I better catch it. So from there, let's go to let's see, man, what I want to do. Psalms 1 and 1.
Come.
1 and 1 to 3. Kind of bouncing now. But.
Psalm chapter 1 and verse 1 reads.
Let me get a chance to get there. Psalm chapter 1, verse 1 through 3. Let's do it, sir.
God, Psalms chapter 1 and verse 1 reads, Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful.
So he's telling you we're blessed when we can separate ourselves from toxic, negative people, and we can stay connected to strength. Read on.
But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doeth he meditate day and night.
So not only are you disconnecting yourself from negative people, your passion is in studying and reading and figuring out day to day how to appreciate and cleave to the Most High more. Read on.
Verse 3. And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water that bringeth forth his fruit in his season.
He's still bringing an example about us being productive, our fruit being productive, and our works being productive. This is what the Most High is looking at on a daily basis. How can I get Israel to be more productive for me? And he's showing 2 examples of how to be productive. Not being around negative influences, not having negative thoughts in your head, obviously, and how well and how much do you delight staying in these scriptures and staying potent in the book. The more you can stay potent in the book, the stronger you can be, the longer you can sustain in that vine. And the key to the game, the key to longevity is being productive. This is the lesson too for how do you stay in the truth for long periods of time. We better fight to be productive. We better fight to bring something to the table. What are you bringing to the table? What are you bringing to the body of Christ? This is how you have to think. What works are you bringing to the table? If you don't want to get pulled away, what are you contributing? Versus what are you taking away from the body? Think of it in vineyard agricultural positions. Think about this. If I am a part of the body and I take more than I give, you think the Most High is going to keep me around the body? The answer is no. And we'll prove that down the line over these classes. Or am I going to be a part of the body that contributes and brings and uplifts way more than I tear down? This is the mindset that we have to take if we want to sustain ourselves in this arena.
Am I an asset in Christ or am I a liability in Christ?
God, but I was going into the vineyard part. Am I taking away from the core? Am I taking away from the body? How do we take away from the body? Think about this. How do we take away from the body? Fight what? We fight the restraints, and there's always arguments and fighting. When you're always fighting and you're always arguing, it's one thing to get counsel, y'all. It's one thing to constantly report and communicate about things. That is great. We're always supposed to counsel. We're always supposed to be in counsel. But are those counsels leading us to doubtful disputations? Do the councils lead to arguments? Do the councils lead to making people question if this is the right thing to do? Or do the councils end up turning into an inspiration for everybody to want to grow more? Are the conversations constantly toxic and tearing down the body? Are the complaints always destroying morale amongst the brotherhood and the sisterhood? This is how you can tell down the line if the Most High is going to keep these individuals. Is your thinking, are you trying to put works? Are you trying to give your mind to positively uplifting the body and pushing the body to strength? Or is the councils more times than not tearing down the work and making it harder to get up every damn day long for the rest of the body? That's how you can determine if eventually you'll get pruned or not. And we'll go into that later also. But the ones who are strong are in the book and they're reading. Because when you're in the book and you're reading, you at least have the capacity to fight off your thinking a little better. If you're studying, you're not going to be perfect. But can you keep it together until you get around people who can keep you strong? Studying is so important to maintaining your productivity and your potency. How many brothers are studying and teaching at home? Let's keep going, man. Are we done with verse 3? Read verse 3. Read verse 3.
Verse 3 from the top. And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season.
So we're going to find out what type of fruit is being developed from study. What type of fruit is coming out in its proper season. Okay? Read on.
His leaf also shall not wither. Whatsoever he doeth shall prosper.
God.
Because he's dealing with structure.
God.
Because he's allowed to see light.
Yep.
Because he has the proper environment.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's allowed himself to be dressed.
Yep. Because
he's accepted the will of the divine dresser.
Yep.
He has a lot of factors that are getting him to a position to produce good fruit that season.
Yep. There's no doubt. There's no doubt. So what we're going to do real quick is go and read 1 Timothy verse 6 and 18. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it.
Timothy, first chapter.
We got to
6,
shake
verse
off
18.
this little sleepy vibe we got going on here. This little we have a little bit more time left. Let's push through it. Let's keep our mind strong, stay fresh, and finish off this class. 1 Timothy 6 and 18.
God, they do good. Excuse me. That they do good. That they be rich in good works.
We're supposed to fight to be rich in good works. That's that fruit that's always producing on time. That's what we have to be focusing on bringing to the. What are we bringing to the table? What we're supposed to be bringing to the table is good works, consistent works. Good, and we're going to go even define this even more, okay? Because that's even vague to a degree. Let's let that verse go and go to Ephesians chapter 5. Chapter 5 and verse 9 through 10.
Ephesians chapter 5, verse 9. For the fruit of the Spirit is in all goodness and righteousness.
So the fruit that we're bringing to the table, we're supposed to be rich in good works. But that fruit is what again?
God, it says, for the fruit of the Spirit is in all goodness and righteousness.
It's in goodness and righteousness. It's how we deal with our brother. It's in how good we are to people around us. Read on.
And truth.
And truth. Read on.
God. Proving what is acceptable unto the Most High.
So he says, every day we have to prove what's acceptable to the Most High. We have to prove that being patient, being long-suffering, that loving each other works. We have to sit back here and prove that working as a body works. And there's positivity in that. And that there's a great thing when Israel comes together and works for a common goal. When you sit back here and see how Israel as a whole, as a nation, They are deteriorating by the seams. And it's a strong urge for everybody to be an individual. It's a strong urge all around the nation for everybody to sit back here and be your own personal priest. That's really strong in the nation right now, man. Everybody is in their mind is why sit back here and keep fighting for one another? Why sit back here and have these structured camps? What good comes from it? Somebody got to sit back here and show good works. Somebody has to sit back here. What was that last verse you read? Right?
It was in verse 10.
Yeah.
Proving what is acceptable unto the Most High.
We have to prove that brotherhood is acceptable. We have to prove that fighting for one another is acceptable. We have to prove that real sisterhood, real genuine sisterhood works.
Can't degenerate.
Because, everybody else, through their neglect and their failures, make it easy for people to think that it's okay to quit. It's okay not to fight for one another. It's okay to be an individual. It's okay to be up at your house and be spiritual as hell. Somebody got to fight. Somebody has to fight and prove that fighting for one another matters. And that the Most High is happy with that.
Can I pull one scripture?
Yes.
Jeremiah 2 and verse 21. Jeremiah 2 and verse 21.
Jeremiah 2 and 21.
Huh.
Yet I have planted thee a noble vine.
The Most High planted a noble vine with the idea of us being of caliber, us being ordinate, us being a nation that can be patterned off of other nations. Let me say it clear. The nations can pattern themselves off of us. We're supposed to say what a wise and understanding people this is. We read that in the scriptures, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what wise and understanding people. So the nations are supposed to pattern the Israelites. That's the goal of the Most High. Us to be noble, to be pattern worthy. Read.
Holy, a right seed.
A right seed, righteous, correct, doing things the right way. Read.
How then art thou turned into the degenerate plant?
A right seed is a right generation. How are we gone from a generation of right seeds, structured, orderly, we can be patterned, we can nation build, people can imitate and pattern our successes, to being a degenerate plant. A plant that if you pattern these people, your nation will fall apart. If you pattern these people's behaviors and ethics, you will lose everything in society. Your society will degenerate to a society of individuals or a bunch of warring tribes. Read that point again.
How then art thou turned into a degenerate plant of a strange vine unto me?
Or a strange vine. Why is it strange? Because it's not what the Most High intended. The outcome is not his original intention. How did I push this? I planted this, and this came out the ground.
Well, see, now you gonna force my hand on the verse, but keep finishing that verse. I had something cooking down the line, man. He's forcing my hand early on this side. But keep
I'm
going.
just saying.
You did it. It's over, man.
I plant an apple tree.
Broke my setup out.
Listen, plant an apple tree, and then some gourd comes out the ground.
Yeah.
What is this?
Yep.
This is strange. How did this be the product? And this was not the design. I didn't design this. I didn't design the individual life. I didn't design the rogue rib. I didn't design the rogue brother. I didn't design the person that's going to keep taking families, not taking care of them, creating seeds without responsibility. I didn't design us just to be on welfare all day as a nation. Mm-hmm. That's not the design, huh? How did I get this product?
Can I pull the verse? Is it in your angle?
Yeah.
Is it in your Jeremiah part?
I'm there.
Go for it.
No. I'm sorry.
You're asking the question.
We're in the same thing.
Okay.
No. I'm saying with this, the Most High said it. How did this come out the ground?
Okay, cool.
How did these plants come out and
these degenerate plants?
He worked a whole year, and the harvest was. What is this?
Yes, I got one for you.
Go ahead, Paul.
Listen, go to Isaiah 5:1. Since we're here now.
I wasn't trying to jump. I hope I
You did jump. I had like 4 verses leading up to this.
Oh, man,
and it's okay.
I'm sorry about that one.
Isaiah 5 verse 1 through 6.
He talks about generation. I'm like, this is What generation
We
is?
were talking about the good. I'm trying to balance it with some good. The fruit of the
Everybody's good.
Spirit. That's why it's the fruit of the Spirit.
You're right.
It's still planning terminologies.
Yeah.
It's planning terminology. The intention was for us to love one another. What I was going to go into is in Galatians 5, verse 22 to 24, and that's his love and kindness, mercy,
Long
suffering, all that stuff. Those are the things that you have to have for the fruit to continue to come out of you. That's what we're working to maintain if we want to keep being used by the Heavenly Father, right? But a lot of times, that type of fruit doesn't come out. A different fruit comes out. So let's read this.
Isaiah chapter 5 and verse 1 reads, Now will I sing to my well-beloved, a song of my beloved touching his vineyard.
Mm-hmm.
My well-beloved have a vineyard in a very fruitful hill.
Who's the vineyard? It's us. We're the vineyard. Okay? Read on.
Verse 2, He fenced it and gathered out the stones thereof.
Who fenced it?
The Most High.
The Most High fenced it because he's the vine dresser. So the Most High sat back here and fenced it. I mean, he protected from what? Animals. He protected this vineyard from animals. He's protecting. He's taking the stones away from it. He's putting the work necessary to get good fruit. Read on.
And he fenced it and gathered out the stones thereof and planted it with the choicest vine.
The choicest vine. The choicest vine is who? Christ. He planted with the best vines. Read on.
He's the
Christ is the word. Christ is the word.
The pattern for the pattern.
Christ is the word.
Huh.
Okay, because Christ didn't come on the scene yet. So he gave us the word, which is the root, which is the choicest vine. Read on.
And built a tower in the midst of it.
Mm-hmm.
And also made a winepress therein.
So there's a tower. There's a place where we can squash the grapes and eventually make this wine. Read on.
And he looked that it should bring forth grapes.
Yeah.
And it brought forth wild grapes.
But the funny thing is, he said the expectation was to bring forth grapes, but it brought forth wild grapes. You know what wild grapes are?
Sour grapes.
Poisonous grapes.
Okay.
That's crazy, The Most High put all this work into developing Israel in hopes that it was productive, fruitful grapes. And we end up turning out poisonous out. Wild berries, you can't even have it. You can't even eat them. You're going to die if you drink poisonous berries, Poisonous grapes. This is that degenerative plant. This is Israel. What's that?
Oh, I wanted to read about the wild grapes. It says if grapes grow wild in the vineyard, they can negatively impact the cultivated grapevines in several ways. Wild grapes can outcompete the cultivated vines for sunlight, nutrients, water.
That's what I've been saying. They said we was going to go into that more next week. This is fine for you going into it because I'm telling you, this is why you have to be so meticulous at these vineyards. Because there's these different roots that pop up and fight for control of the nutrients.
Okay.
Crazy.
So when you're dealing in a camp setting, you're dealing with the body of Christ, you're dealing with developing your rib, you got to sit back and say, what are these factors that are getting in the way of her development? What's pulling her attention? What's pulling the body's attention? What negative resources and what negative sources are around the body that needs to get pulled out so that the body gets the attention and the development it needs? Is that?
Could that be related to negative influence?
Yes, that's exactly what it is. The negative influence is taking the nutrients and the source from where it's supposed to be going. These negative roots will get right in front of the good roots. They get all the sun. And these wild roots can do what it wants. The good roots are stuck on these damn chains.
Yeah.
So these wild roots are taking all the good roots' energy and sources. What is that saying? The squeaky wheel gets the what? The most what? Grease. That means that wild ass root is getting all the counsel.
All the focus.
That wild ass root's getting all the focus and counsel, and the good ones don't get the attention that they need. There's an imbalance there. Well, they're like, listen, I can't, for the sake of the body, have this negative root take all the water, take all the sunlight, take all the nutrients, and the good roots are getting killed. And they're dying out.
Drying up.
So you got to pull out that negative source to save the ones that can't move and fend for themselves. You can't have that wild grape there. You can't have those wild spirits that can't be controlled and don't want to adapt and lock into what everybody else has got to lock into, but they want the resources. That sounds like the Israelite condition on a major level. The Jew wants counsel, they want attention, they want development, but they don't want to lock in like everybody else. And they wonder why when you remove them, You got to save the rest of the body. Yes.
I think you brought out before that taking.
And we'll go into that taking aspect later, but no doubt. But this is part of what the vine dresser has to do. Has to remove these wild grapes. All these cancerous things that are tagging around and taken away from the grapes that are doing their job that are on point.
Can I bring some up?
He was.
After you're done with that.
Yeah.
Con, it says wild grapes potentially can reduce the yield and quality of the desired grapes. Additionally, wild grapes can spread and become difficult to manage. Potentially harming or killing other plants. Because they bring diseases. They harbor diseases and pests that can spread to cultivated vines.
This is part of what vine dressing is. You got to sit back here and cut that out quick, and you can't let it fester for long. But when you do that, guess what the vine dresser's called? Unbrotherly. There's no love. There's no love in the camp. There's no love in the body. Well, you know what? There's no love in the body. I'm saving the rest of them. Because you're a wild-ass vine producing wild-ass grapes and bringing sickness to the body. So somebody got to make a big boy decision and save the body and be called unbrotherly while doing it.
Be the adversary. And
that's okay. Because you know what? The people who the vine dresser is responsible for, they still get the nutrients. That sounds like cast out the scorner and contention will cease. What was you going to say? You see how it all ties into agriculture and farming? And how the Most High teaches us so many lessons just in this. Now, all that good juicy stuff was supposed to be for next week. And we'll still go back into it. I'm just trying to establish the Most High's providence and His presence over all these things. What you gonna say?
I gotta go because last time I pulled that point about the.
Because he pulled it.
No.
You pulled it first. You got us here.
No. Listen.
You got us here, Bible land.
Listen, we were doing a move. I saw some wild grapes going on. I wanted to eat them. I was trying to eat them. They were called musk grapes, like that. I was trying to eat them, but I just couldn't get to it because we were too busy. You've
been dead. All the brother wanted was grapes. All he wanted was some grapes. Why?
He was just hungry.
He wants some fruit. Keep going. Let's keep going though. Yeah.
No, but what Elisha was saying that because he had brought a point with the wild grape. This is crazy. It says right here. It says while many wild grapes are safe to eat, there's some that are safe to eat. Not all, right? It has some diseases. It says some poisonous lookalikes can be mistaken for them. In particular, Canadian moonseed. Canadian moonseed is a vine that bears berries resembling grapes, but it's highly toxic. Right? So it looks like a grape. It looks like a plant. Right? The vine, it says the vine has great berries and it's highly toxic. Highly toxic, it can be fatal. Right? But the point was that it has grape-like leaves. Everything looks like a grape plant. It's not exactly a grape plant. It just looks like it. But the fruit of it can kill you.
But there's a science to even studying this. There's a science to managing it. That's why it's so meticulous that the vine dresser understands how to maintain the vines and protect the vines.
If a person's a rookie vine dresser,
you're not supposed to. You can't.
You're gonna sit here.
You can't. You better not.
I got some wild vines.
You're not gonna be a rookie vine dresser. You gonna lose the whole vineyard money.
Exactly.
They're hiring. This is my first time doing it, but I have a can-do attitude. I will try. No, it's not good enough.
These look like grapes to me.
That's a moon seed right there.
That looks delicious.
It looks just like I like that.
And I will kill you.
That's why I want it. I was like, man, it looks so good. Yeah. It looks so good. But you know what? Not knowing until we had this class,
Yeah.
this can harm you.
And this is what the Most High. This is where we're going into this whole thing about vineyards. Israel is a vineyard, and Israel has a habit. The Most High was trying to develop us into being productive and fruitful. We're in Isaiah. He's like, all we're doing is bringing about poisonous fruit, poisonous grapes, because that's what the wild grapes are. They're poisonous. The intention was to have a beautiful harvest, and the harvest was ruined because Israel just didn't want to play their part. How did the Most High establish a vineyard and we became wild? We broke from our what? Those chains. We broke from those wires. We broke from the restraints. The Most High set us up. We broke them off and grew how we wanted to grow.
And got disease.
That's how the poisoning happens. How does it happen when you sit back here and you're trying to make it work? They broke off of their chains, or they weren't tied enough, but they broke off and they did their own thing.
They came back diseased and started infecting the whole farm.
God.
And you lose camps, you lose men, you lose families.
You lose a generation.
Yeah.
And this is why in Isaiah, soon after this sinning was happening, it was the beginning of the end. And we had to get ousted to Babylon. All these actions was leading up to the fall. Because we just couldn't embrace the discipline. We couldn't embrace the order and love serving the Most High. And then the sickness comes in, and now all of our fruit is poisonous. So we have to sit back here and fight our tails off to stay in order, to do things the right way, to love the Most High, to love doing His work. I'm not going to read this other part. But if we don't learn to embrace, matter of fact, read Ecclesiastes 7. No. Let's finish Isaiah 5. Let's finish Isaiah 5. Read verse 2 again. Let's get this chapter in. Yeah.
Isaiah chapter 5 and verse 2 reads, "And he fenced it, and gathered out the stones thereof, and planted it with the choicest vine."
So it wasn't the vine's fault. It was the branches' fault. The branches didn't want this. The branches didn't want to lock in and stay connected to the vine. Read on.
"And built a tower in the midst of it, and also made a winepress therein. And he looked that it should bring forth grapes."
So this vine dresser invested a lot into this plot of land. Read on.
"And it brought forth wild grapes."
And it brought forth poisonous grapes. Read on.
"And now, O inhabitants of Jerusalem, and men of Judah, judge, I pray you, betwixt me and my vineyard, what could have been done more to my vineyard, that I have not done it?"
What could I have done to get this vineyard to produce that I didn't do? This is how the Most High looks at us. What could I have done different? What could I have done so that this damn harvest just didn't go to hell? I gave it the water, I gave it the light, I gave it the attention. I put all the work in and it still went rotten. First of all, this shows how much love the Most High got for us and how much energy He invests into us every day. Be like, man, what the hell? I'm busting my ass on this damn vineyard, and it still went rogue. What else do I got to do? It lets us know how invested He is in our life. It's like saying, what else do I got to give this brother for him to grow? He's got teachers. He's got examples. He's got love. She's got love. She's got attention. She's got counsel. She's being developed. What the hell else is it going to take for this brother or sister to grow? He says the same thing about us. That's the amount of attention He invests into us.
Wow.
And He's frustrated when He does everything He can to put us in a position to grow, and we don't grow. That's really what's happening. I have done everything in my power to put you in position to grow, and you're still not figuring it out. What the hell else do I got? You're still bringing forth toxic works. You're still bringing forth negative, filthy works. What do I have to do to get the most out of you? And then He's like, please, He's like, somebody tell me. Read verse 3 again.
Come. "And now, O inhabitants of Jerusalem, and men of Judah, judge, I pray you, betwixt me and my vineyard.
He's like, listen, Israel, somebody tell me what the hell else I could have did to get you to be better. Haven't you heard parents ask out of kids?
Yeah.
What could I have done for you to turn out better? What could I have done? What did I need to have done to get you to turn out more productive? This is what the Most High is saying about his vineyard. What the hell else could he have done? He gave us everything. Our own land, our own history, our own laws, prophets, people that give us reminders. What else needs to be done? Read on.
Verse 4. What could have been done more to my vineyard that I have not done in it? Wherefore, when I looked that it should bring forth grapes, brought it forth wild grapes?
He said, why the hell is the whole vineyard poisonous? When the soil is good, the vine is good, the teaching is good, the law is good, you're protected from animals, and you still turn out rotten. This is the question the Most High is asking generation after generation after generation after generation. And you wonder why we've had to experience so much suffering, so much tragedy as a nation. 325,000 of our people's kids are missing. These are all punishments from the Most High. What else is it going to take to get us to wake up and stop producing poisonous fruit and embrace the fruits of the Spirit? Embrace serving the Most High. Embrace those restraints, which is our calling, in order to get proper fruit to come out. In order to have non-poisonous grapes, you have to be refined and confined. And those clips and you got to be tied into those wires and submit in order to bring about good fruit. In comparison to growing like you want and becoming poisonous. Because that's their question. We become poisonous when we grow how we want to grow. When we grow independently, that's poisonous. When we accept the structure and the fetters the Most High puts under us, then we can produce. Read on.
Verse 5. And now go to, I will tell you what I will do to my vineyard. I will take away the heads thereof, and it shall be eaten up.
He said, I'm going to open the gates and let these animals eat this shit then. Who gives a damn? They're not going to give me any fruit. Then let these foxes and jackals eat it at. They'll eat the damn wild grapes. Let them tear up the roots. Let them tear at it and just have it away. Let the mildew hit it. Let the disease hit it.
They all eat.
I don't give a damn. These people don't sit back here and they're not giving me nothing. Then let the world smash them. This is how the Most High looks at us. This is why taking this class is very important. Because he's like, listen, if we're not giving him fruit, he's going to let the world destroy us and chew us and use us up. He'll let the world use us up. He'll let men run through you. He'll let the world destroy your heart, destroy your dreams. Because we're not good to him. We're not giving him any fruit. Why is he going to keep it? What he's saying is, if you don't want to accept the how I develop you, I'm going to take away my hedge. I'm going to take away my protection. If you don't want to, if you're not happy serving me and producing for me, then you lose your protection.
That's the consequence.
Your protection is predicated on your obedience. Your protection is predicated on you locking in and accepting the fetters he puts you in. If you don't want to accept those fetters, then the hedge is open and he stops the protection. We think we can get protected and be wild damn grapes and be individuals that can't be put in order. No, you want to be an individual? Then you lose that hedge, you're going to get your ass kicked out there. Good day. This is what he's saying in Isaiah 5. The hedge and the protection is predicated on obedience. You want to be a wild grape, you want to be an individual, then he's going to open those gates and let the foxes and all the creatures come in here and have at you. Read on.
I will take away the heads thereof, and it shall be eaten up.
Crazy, bro.
And break down the walls thereof, and it shall be trodden down.
He says he's going to tear down all the walls.
That's how he thinks that.
This is how the Most High looks at us. I'm tearing down all of your protection, all of your safety, and you're not going to have any comfort anywhere around you. Since you want to be an individual, then be that individual. You want to grow wild and be unruly? Have at it. Read on.
And I will lay it waste. It shall not be pruned nor digged.
I'm going to sit back here. Then the diseases kick in. You're going to be diseased, ravaged by wild beasts. You're not going to be protected on any level. Read on.
But there shall come up briars and thorns.
Then there's going to be itities that just take away from your virtue.
And that's
Wild beasts,
So that's a class.
entities taking away your virtue, taking away the best of you. You're going to be getting used up from everybody but the Lord.
People say,
Which means you're going to be used up and get no reward for it.
People say, I tried serving, I tried this, I tried that, and nothing worked. Because the Most High wasn't protected.
Come. If you listen, we're all to be used. But what are we going to be used for? We're going to be used for the Most High, or used with this illusion that I have some independent path that's waiting for me. You think if that's the path you get, you're going to get used up and get withered away with no blessing behind it. Read on.
I will also command the clouds that they rain no rain upon it.
Damn, bro. Wow. No nutrients. I'm not going to develop you and build you up on any level. I'm going to dry you up across the board because you don't want to lock in anyway. You don't appreciate the Most High anyway. Read on.
God, verse 7. For the vineyard of the Lord of hosts is the house of Israel, and the men of Judah his pleasant plant. And he looked for judgment, but behold oppression, for righteousness. But behold a cry.
Listen, I'm going to leave it at that. I hope that this is the first class of many that deals with this vine dressing. I hope we understand, even at least in this last prophecy, that if we want to be individuals and we don't embrace how the Most High develops us and how he has this nature of adjusting every little thing that's inside of us for optimal strength, if we can't embrace how he develops us, if we can't embrace how he keeps us tied down in these trellises to give us stability and to give us structure, and how structure and the law and all the things we're not allowed to do is for our protection. If we learn to appreciate that, we can grow and continue to get blessed and provide good fruit. If we hate that notion and we hate the constraints the Most High brings to us, then destruction is coming to us very soon. Israel Thawada for tuning in. I'll see you guys on Wednesday, Shabbat Shalom's class. Thawada, and see you later. Shalom.